Good afternoon. What do you see as the best way forward to holistically tackle antisocial behaviour, address not just the perpetrators but also the needs of the victims, the community, and including measures to ensure the circle of patterns of behaviour are broken?
Laura?
I think education should start early, which is why, we've got the Sure Start system. I am an advocate of restorative justice, and I believe that the perpetrators should be made aware and confront what they're doing. I also think that victims, again, they're not being given the anonymity if they wish to have anonymity. They need to be able to say what they need to say to report crimes, to report antisocial behaviour, without necessarily having to be identified to the perpetrators of that. So confidentiality, I think, is really important. If after all the agencies, who I may add have let down a lot of people in Penhill regarding sorting out these problems, if there is nothing else that can be done, I think moves should be made to get those people that are causing the problems out of that area. I know it's still, moving them on to somewhere else, but if everything has been tried and tested, then there's nothing else that can be done. So why should the victims feel that they are either prisoners in their own home or whether they need to move out the area? Why should they do that? It should be the actual perpetrators that should do that.
Over to you, Andy.
Okay, thank you for the question, Liz. Holistically, antisocial behaviour. People too often think that antisocial behaviour is just kids. It's a problem with kids. It's not. There's an awful lot of antisocial adults out there as well. And they actually need to be tackled in slightly different ways. The antisocial behaviour from adults who should know better, and there's a lot more that should be being done against the adult perpetrators. But with children, a lot of the time it's through boredom, the lack of facilities, the lack of things to do. So we actually need to tackle that. It's a two-edged sword. If we don't tackle the lack of youth provision on this estate, then you will get a degree of antisocial behaviour. But the victims of antisocial behaviour are far too often forgotten. They're ignored, they are let down by the system, and there are things out there that are happening in other areas that we can do in this area here. Now, there is recently been set up a group called Redoubt, which is actually supporting, victims of antisocial behaviour, which is a very important, aspect. A lot of people do forget about the victims. They are not given the support that they need, and they're not talked through it. We have a borough council that actually has got its own agencies that actually let people down time and time again. Now, one of the things that I'm in favour of is restorative justice. I'm a great believer in that. If you go to places like Sheffield, you'll actually find they have restorative justice panels made up of the local community that will not only say, right, if, you're guilty of the antisocial behaviour, this is what we will This is what we will prioritise as being the way in which you will pay back into the community, and that's how you deal with it.
Okay, sorry to rush you on, but we've got a lot on the same subject. I'm trying to join together. Alana Sargent, here.
Basically, I just wanted to know what is going to be put in place, because obviously the council aren't doing anything, the police aren't doing anything. What is there going to be put in place? Is anyone actually going to fight, and what are they going to do to get it all sorted out down here?
Thanks for that question. Laura, see if you can contribute to that, please.
Well, there are groups out there, agencies, that can give you the advice and help that you need. We can talk after and we can give you the information. I think I've already passed on some information to one of your neighbours. We need to look after the victims, really. Too often it's the perpetrators that seem to be, cajoled and treated with kid gloves. We need to use the information given. We need to make sure the police use the information, and the council as well. The council are really not doing their job. In my experience, you report all this information and it's kind of like put in the pending tray and left there. You don't see the people in charge of these departments. You don't know who they are. All you've got is perhaps a name. You don't get your calls back, so that is something I want to look at doing, is actually pushing the council to do exactly what they're paid to do and help the victims of antisocial behaviour.
I think most of the questions about that, I'll give Andy a few minutes on that, because most of the issues antisocial are duplicated up in questions at the moment. Andy?
Yeah. What are we going to do about it? That's the most important aspect of that question, as far as I'm concerned. And the first thing that we do need to do about it is make sure that the Swindon Borough Council team, the police, and all the other agencies involved are actually singing off the same hymn sheet. They're actually working against each other in many occasions, and that is actually also letting the people down. You know, there's a very useful pack about, you know, antisocial behaviour and how you deal with it, how you support the victims, but at the same time how you try and turn around the behaviour of the perpetrators. But you must give perpetrators an opportunity to improve their behaviour, but then if they don't, there has to be very definite steps to go through. And it's quite right, at the end of the day, if people aren't prepared to toe the line, aren't prepared to take behaviour, then you do end up sometimes having to evict those people. I've been involved in actually doing that up here because the family was totally unacceptable.
Redoubt was formed by a group of victims of antisocial behaviour who were failed by various agencies and felt there was a lack of support for victims. So Redoubt basically works twofold. One, we support victims and offer emotional and research support, anything we can do to help a victim with their support needs, apart from financial, because we don't have the money to. And the other thing we do is we offer training and to act as a critical friend to agencies and practitioners of antisocial behaviour, and work in that way to try and change people's attitudes where they work with victims of antisocial behaviour.
There's something that occurred to me listening to the questions people were asking earlier. A lot of people seem to have problems in Penhill with antisocial behaviour. Do you think that the problem's worse in Penhill, or is it just that the police don't take it as seriously here as they do in other areas?
No, I don't think the problems, in fact, to a certain extent, I think the problems are less in Penhill than they are in other areas. One of the problems with an event like this is people who have specific problems pop up. So you hear, whether it's dog bins, parking, antisocial behaviour, you hear the same questions and you assume that that's a problem in that area. Penhill has got slightly less antisocial behaviour than a lot of other areas. What they do have the advantage of is that when you're in a private house, in a private estate, as I know goes on, you're left unsupported. People don't like admitting they've got a problem with antisocial behaviour because it affects house prices and things like that. One of the biggest problems that victims up here face, and everywhere else, is a failing in a multi-agency approach. At the moment in Swindon, unlike other areas, and other areas again haven't got it, there is no one key victim support worker. So things are often left undone. Victims are left unsupported without knowing what's going on, without knowing how the case is progressing. There are failings, and there's no one person acting as the union rep for the victim, which is where Redoubt comes in. And we act as a union rep and contact all the agencies and ask what's going on and raise issues that the victims themselves sometimes just don't have the emotional energy to raise. But antisocial behaviour in Penhill, for the victims, individual victims suffering it, it's life-changing. It's horrendous, it's soul-destroying, it's the financial cost, the emotional cost, the health cost is huge. But on a whole, when you look at the actual figures, stuff is being underreported. But we're very lucky in Penhill, not least of all, because we have got a very good community here where people do support each other and look at things. It's just when you get a family that can kick off, nobody wants to be their victim, so they will step back sometimes. And we need to change that attitude as well, and Redoubt hopes to do that. By making people aware, these are our streets, these are our homes across the country. It's our country, it's our streets, they're our fields. And the silent majority, when they see something wrong, needs to stand up and say, I'm not having that.